My first guest does not exactly need a long introduction from me. He's a very accomplished actor and also a writer and now director. And he's currently starring, as you probably know, Rambo, First Blood, Part 2, which opens tomorrow. Would you welcome Sylvester Stallone?
I'd like to have a recording of
You'd like to have a record then and carry it with you wherever you go?
Thank you very much.
Just to feel secure every morning, get up and hit the applause button and...
Instead of an alarm clock.
Go back into your career 10, 12 years. Would you ever thought you'd walk on a television show and have that kind of reaction?
No, actually.
10 years, let's say take 10 years ago.
10 years ago?
Yeah.
I don't know, they usually don't scream like that when you sweep floors. No, I never dreamed that it would even get to this magnitude. I thought perhaps I could be playing bullies and people like that Jack Lemmon would be beating up in films and always one falling down. I never thought that it would ever transcend into a character where he would be somewhat likable.
Do you ever have any fantasy about it, saying, hey, maybe there might be something that break through? Well, Lords of Flatbush, actually, I guess was the first... and there was Susan Blakely. Was
Susan Blakely, Henry Winkler, Perry King.
Right.
And a fellow named Paul Mace. But it was interesting. The people that didn't do it, that originally scheduled to do it, was De Niro, Richard Gere, Michael Moriarty. So it was like, it was really a charmed production at the time.
That's right. Yeah, it's funny when you think back. And if you put it in perspective, let me ask you one off-the-wall question. Are you happier now than you were, say, 10 years ago when you were struggling? It sounds like a dumb question. Most people would say, of course he is. He's got fame, he's got the money now. Therefore, you've got to be happier.
That's a good question. You know, as you know, what success is double-edged. I mean, because what comes with it is a great sense of responsibility, and you have to try to keep up a certain level of performance. Before, when you're unknown and you're struggling, every day is an unknown X factor. You don't know where you're going. What I would do is I'd open the Yellow Pages, and there, in New York, there would be about 1,500 agents, and every day I would mark off 10. And those 10, I would sit there and, you know, make up the most atrocious lies. Just back in from Europe. I have a clown act that I'm working on. Of course, I don't have any film on it, but it's...
You really did. Just took them right down the list.
And so it would be enough work for like 6 months, and then I would start all over with the 6 months because hopefully they had forgotten me, or I'd go in with a mustache or a beard. So every day was kind of an adventure. Today, there is no more like that.
Yeah.
It's like the responsibility of trying to get the film done, of trying to stay in shape, of trying to be on budget, of trying not to get beat up too much, like fighting giant Russians.
Giving up your lack of privacy and your personal relationships, and life is, you know, blasted all over everything.
No,
those are the negative sides. But basically, I think it's funny. When I talk to most entertainers, some of the happiest times in their life is when they were back there struggling to get the recognition for some strange reason.
Well, let's face it, I think the climb up the mountain is the most exciting because you don't know what lies ahead. Once you get supposedly to the top of your profession, the only place to go is down.
Does that bother you every time you make a picture that somebody's going to come and say, well, Stallone's on his way out, or this didn't measure up to the other one? And
well, put it this way, John. There will be no Rhinestone 2.
Come on now, Sorry. Oh, come on. No. I thought you'd be cutting an album soon.
No, twist my arm. I'm sorry, that's it.
No MTV?
Yes, mucus television.
No. You should do an MTV.
No.
You'd probably go great. I'll bet you they're pretty clever the way they do it. They could stage it and it'd be a...
Oh, that? Yeah,
sure.
You know, I thought if they would have shot that with an X-ray camera, it might have worked. You know, something different from the inside out. But the way it was done, I said, no.
Okay. Now, let's talk. We're going back again, talking about your youth. You were bounced out of how many high schools?
14.
14 high schools. Obviously, you were either bored with it, or you were a lousy student, or you just didn't, your mind was somewhere else.
Daydreamer, and I think a lot of people suffer from that. You know, you go into school and you pretty much know what you want to do with your life. Say you have an overactive imagination, and you're not really interested in building a bridge or learning SMSG geometry or learning to split an atom or whatever. So you tend not to be in sync with what's being taught. So you look out the window and you say, boy, if I could climb that tree and flap my arms and flatten my eyes. And meanwhile, you hear in the back of the head and say, ow. So it's just repetitive rejection because you are just not in sync with what's being taught. And I think schools, at least from what I've understood, are kind of accelerating their ways of teaching to become a little bit more pliable to understanding the needs of the students.
And not everybody goes at the same level.
Right, and they're going to get into specialization. I mean, in college, when I was going, it was like you had to have 2 years of a Bachelor of Science, where you had to study everything. Now, I think you can go right into specialization immediately. Like, if you want to be a turtle breeder, you're going to be a turtle breeder from the beginning, and that's it, no matter what. Nothing's going to stop you from raising those hard little things, boy. And that's it, you know.
That sounds kind of nice, actually.
It is, actually.
Breeding turtles.
Yes.
No great hurry in the whole thing. What's the story about you running around pretending to be Superboy? Is that true? When you were in school?
Yeah.
With a cape?
It was so sick. I'm so sick.
That's what we're here for. We want to hear all the sick stuff.
Heck, you know. Well, Rona. This is
True story? True story?
Yeah, what it is my father's a beautician, so he had a lot of barber's capes around, and I was scrawny. I had, my body was, you ever seen like a man comprised of pipe cleaners? Well, that was that's what, I didn't have a shadow, you know, we're talking thin, all right? So I was fascinated with two characters, the Steve Reeves Hercules character and Superman. So I bought some Rit dye, and I dyed my T-shirt blue, and I dyed my underwear red, and I dyed my socks blue, and I took this barber cape, and I put the S on with a crayon. Of course, it was backwards. And I put it under my clothing. And I was going to school, except I was looking like a hunchback, you know, because the cape was all like this. And I had my friend Jimmy Cohen, and I pulled him into the men's room, and I said, you're not going to believe this. I know you think I'm Sylvester. I know you think I'm, like, Tweety Bird and Putty Tad, and you make fun of me and all that. But underneath all this is Superboy.
Man, you'd look that off.
And they said, you know, you're duh. So I opened up, I showed him a little S. Jimmy, my best friend, of course, runs out into the classroom going, ah! My friend is having a nervous breakdown. We got Superboy in the bathroom. So what happened is they took me up in front of the entire school at lunchtime, made me take my pants off, my clothes off, and everything. And I'm standing there, knocked me with this barber cape on. And they said, now, flap for us. Flap, and you better fly. And I never went back to school after that.
No wonder you went from school to school.
Yeah. Flying. Flying for school.
We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to cost more. We also got a clip from Rambo, Part 2. Stay where you are. First Blood. First Blood. Thank you, Doc. We're talking with Sly Stallone. Every picture you do, you did the Rocky pictures, you did Rambo Part 1, First Blood.
First Blood.
You really got to get yourself in some kind of shape. I mean, that's strenuous work, right?
It is. It's pretty strenuous. Well, I feel that the character dictates that you have to have a certain body style. I would like to just, you know, weigh 400 pounds and eating cashews in Tahiti. But unfortunately, the character dictates that he's kind of a fighting machine. He doesn't have a family, doesn't have a past, doesn't have a future. All he is geared towards is combat. So I figure, and I've known men like that, so all they do is, everything is physical, right. Constantly working out, looking for ways to perfect themselves. So I have to kind of like live this lifestyle. It's not a healthy one. I mean, it looks all right, but it's really, after a while, it does wear you down. But for this character who I felt so close to, because it's so important, because he represents a lot of people today that are alive and well, hopefully, and I wanted to do justice by them, by the American military fighting men.
Okay, we're going to show have a little excerpt here. What is this piece we're going to see, Sly?
Well, he has gone back to Vietnam to extract POWs. He has been caught in some intrigue. He has been captured, and now he's escaped. And what has happened is he's gone through most of his captors, and as a last resort, we find that the Russians are behind the whole thing, and they're going after him now with helicopter and napalm over a waterfall, and I'm being chased by a ball of fire, I think.
Just an average day in the country.
Just a little barbecue.
Watch the monitor. Here's... right? There's that. For all these people who go, you got a hit there. You mentioned that one stunt. You were involved in that stunt. Close the fire thing.
Well, what happens is there's a little bit of madness that seems to permeate my brain when I'm doing a character like this. It seems like
you start to believe that you can do this?
You believe sometimes that I want to do that stunt. And what they do is they fire that gasoline from a cannon, and you mark it off about 30 feet away, and as they fire it, you hopefully that it's the same amount every time. And as you run, if you keep a certain speed, you'll just clear this ball of fire. If you don't, we're having Rice Krispies.
Rice Krispies tonight.
You know? So, and this is a few of the stunts in the film that were really interesting to do because it's all a matter of timing.
Right.
Stuntmen are extraordinary human beings. I mean, their whole life is a matter of millimeters
Gags,
a second.
they call them, right?
Gags. They call them gags, but very brave men.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for coming. I know you can't stay the night. It opens tomorrow all around the country?
I'm sorry.
Folks, I'm staying.
You've got the maestro.
Bye. Thanks for coming. Thank you. Okay, we'll be back. We have A. Whitney Brown, a very funny young man, and Horacio Gutierrez, who plays piano so beautifully. Stay where you are. We'll be back.